welcome to episode 6 now of The Bottom Line. I'm joined once again by my co-host Syed, and we've got a very special episode for you all this week. Syed's going to give us a brief tech update, going over his cybersecurity investments, the COVID-19 vaccination phishing attack, the 10 million DDoS attacks that were reported in 2020, and give us a brief update on Apple's earnings, their iOS updates, and their privacy updates moving forward. We're also going to talk a little bit about the short squeeze that occurred throughout this week. Obviously, GameStop was leading the way, but there were a lot of other names to take note of. And we're also going to be talking about the run in crypto this week. Obviously, you may or may not have heard, but Doge Coin actually saw a massive increase in volume this week. And we're going to talk a little bit about that and the outlook for crypto moving forward, as there's the news that some countries are looking at regulating its circulation. So we'll dive a little bit deeper into how that could impact the short-term and long-term outlook for crypto. So with that being said, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Hey guys, hope everyone had a great week. It was definitely an enjoyable week on my end, as with all the memes and stuff coming in with the short squeeze. But that's for later in the agenda. To start off, I wanted to go over a few things that happened this week in the tech and cybersecurity world. So there's a COVID-19 vaccination phishing attack. So the UK variant, so they are enrolling out vaccines, right? So there's like a huge fake page as seen on your screen that's going around in the UK that's pretty much pretending to be the vaccine givers, right? And they're like, oh, give us your information and we'll enroll you in vaccine in the vaccine wait list. But again, this is fake, and yeah, this was reported. So links in the description if you want to read more on it. Secondly, I want to mention that last year a report came out. There were over 10 million denial of service attacks reported. So it just goes to show how denial of service attacks are really a major thing in cybersecurity, as they can overwhelm your network, right? And they can make your network not work at all, with all the packets coming in. Lastly, I wanted to mention an article that came out on cybersecurity investments, and how overall worldwide companies are going to increase their cybersecurity investments by 10%. So again, as you know, the article is you can see it on your screen, and the link to that is in the description below, so make sure to check that out. Now moving on to Apple, they had an iOS update, and in this iOS update they basically dealt with a few zero-day attacks that were impacting iOS 14.3. Links to that are in the description below, but I just wanted to let our viewers know that please update to iOS 14.4 for iPhone users, iPad users, because again, upgrading to the latest software is critical in security. And then sticking with Apple here, a little bit on their financials for Q1. Basically, Apple delivered its largest quarter by revenue of all time on Wednesday at around 111 billion in its first quarter earnings report for fiscal 2021. It's the first time that Apple crossed a symbolic 100 billion mark in a single quarter, and their sales were up 21% over this year. So the sales for every product category rose by double-digit percentage points. Again, the link to the article is in the description below, so be sure to check that out for more information on Apple. But it's definitely a stock to hold on to in the long run, as their earnings were good this year.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, I believe they also announced that they're going to start implementing, I think it's a quarterly dividend of about 20 cents per share. So talk about value picks, right? Like Apple was, obviously it's been one of the strongest stocks to own, but now even more so, and it caters to the investors that prefer dividend paying stocks in their portfolio. Now Apple's sort of giving back to its shareholders in a bigger way. So I think the dividend definitely does help make Apple a more attractive investment now.
And then moving on to EB Games, there was a report that earlier this past week, I believe on Tuesday, when they rolled out more PS5s on their website, when retailers were trying to buy the PlayStation, their personal information was leaked. Thankfully, no credit card information was leaked, but information such as their name, address, phone numbers, and emails was leaked. Again, the link to the report is in the description below, so be sure to check that out and check out what happened. Speaking of EB Games is owned by GameStop, and as we all know, GameStop had an eventful week. Not only this week, actually, the past few weeks. So, what are your thoughts on GameStop, Deepak?
Obviously, it was a very interesting week. We touched upon this last week as well. We saw a bit of a, well, not a bit of a run up, but quite a significant run up in GameStop. But I also predicted that the other heavily shorted stocks like Express and AMC would see a big run up of their own, and that's exactly what happened. So it seems the retail investors have started targeting these heavily shorted stocks. You saw the power of the short squeeze in full effect. Really, like you saw 100% run ups, 150% run ups. I think AMC had a plus 300% day. So it was a very crazy day.
Wall Street
and
bets.
the week, really. Yeah, exactly. Wall Street bets. Honestly, like it's a once in a lifetime sort of situation here, and you saw that the short squeeze caused, I think, the broad market really to see a little bit of a decline because all these hedge funds had to cover their shorts, and I think what you saw was a lot of selling of the other value stocks, just to be able to get them the liquidity to be able to cover these shorts, right? I think what's still interesting, though, is that GameStop, I think at one point it was 140% shorted. Now it's around 120%. So the share price is already pushing 400, I believe. And it's still 120% short. So a lot of people think this week was the end of the short squeeze. I don't know which way it goes, but I still think that there's a lot more left in the tank. And I think it can actually go higher. And I know some people are calling for the share price to rise possibly up to 1,000, which is crazy to think about, but I don't think it's outside of the realm of possibility. With that being said, I did want to just sort of talk about irrational investing, really, for the retail investor. I know seeing seeing stocks run up like this, it becomes tempting for you to have like the FOMO and just trying to buy in, just with hopes that it's going to triple overnight, right?
Yeah.
And I think last week was a weird week because the market sort of rewarded you for jumping in, despite a rip, right? So I think for investors that are, especially new investors, they have to be mindful of the fact that you should never really go after a stock when it rips, right? Like you should always focus on buying the dips. And as soon as the market starts to behave in somewhat more normal conditions like we're accustomed to, I think these newbie investors might see a little bit of a hit because they're buying at these astronomical prices, which are due for corrections over time. So obviously it's not going to keep running up every single day. At one point it will correct. So I think everyone, especially our viewers, should be mindful of the fact that you don't want to buy a stock at its top, right? And if it's already seen a massive run up, don't fall in love with a stock. There's so many other picks you can choose from. Yeah. So just like my main overall message here is just don't chase.
Wall Street Bets is a platform where you might join as a new investor and like have the mindset of chasing the earnings, right? But as Deepak mentioned, keep all this stuff in mind, and there's definitely more stocks to invest in. I'll never invest in a stock when it's at its all-time high, right? Because you're due for like massive loss. But again, the power of Reddit, social media, man, 2021, we're already seeing first month in. It's the 30th today. First month in, and we just saw Reddit influence the entire stock market. All of Wall Street was impacted by a bunch of Reddit users. Incredible, man.
Again, like it's all fun and games when you're making money, but I know the joke that's been going around is that you need to have diamond hands and all that, right? But like honestly, like there's nothing wrong with taking profits off the table, and if you are one of the lucky ones that was able to benefit from the massive increase in these share prices, there's absolutely nothing wrong with taking your profits, right? Yeah. So
if you were able to go to the moon, as they say, go to the moon, exactly.
Go to the moon. Exactly. So So don't fall in the trap of not wanting to take profits just because everyone else is saying, "Oh, don't sell." Like, obviously, do what's best for you, right? So we always preach to do your own due diligence, do your own research. So make sure you're doing that when you're making any investing decision.
Moving on, speaking of memes, when Wall Street Bets saw that AMC and GameStop weren't going to the moon. I mean, they did go to the moon, but like these the investing platforms took them off and forbidden users from selling. They moved on to crypto, and Dogecoin became the new meme, as that was supposed to take all of us to the moon. And honestly, like no pun intended, but it did skyrocket a lot. It went up really high, and people were making a lot of money. But Dogecoin, like I knew about it back in 2018 as a really cheap coin. I put in like $10 in it, and then I sold it back in like 2019 ish. I really didn't see it like growing all that much. It was like point 1 cent, 0.01 cents per coin, and like I really didn't see any potential in it. Now all of a sudden on I believe Wednesday and Thursday last week, it just skyrocketed. These guys were after Dogecoin, and it's just incredible. But with Dogecoin being a meme coin and all that, I did want to point out two other coins that kind of like went under the radar, but they were up this week too. For the first coin being Ripple, and the second one being Stellar. Just today, Saturday, Jan 30th, Ripple has been up over 40%, and Stellar's been up 12%. So be sure to check out those coins. We did make posts about those coins on our Instagram and TikTok. So
keep an eye out on Stellar.
Keep an eye out on
All
keep
Ripple XP up on your watch list.
the big boys as well. So Bitcoin and Ethereum.
You know what? While we're on the crypto note, I wanted to bring something to everyone's attention as well. This morning, I read an article that they're actually looking at banning cryptocurrency in India. I think they're focused on Bitcoin for now, but probably the other cryptocurrencies as well. And I think they're looking at getting their own sort of digital currency going. So it had me thinking of like the longevity of cryptocurrency, really, right? Because it's based on being deregulated, right? So if all the countries start regulating it, it really loses whatever intrinsic value it was supposed to bring, right? So I don't know whether other countries are going to follow suit, but I mean, if India is looking at it, I'm sure other leaders of other countries are looking at it as well. And it'll be interesting to see how Bitcoin and other cryptos maintain their values in an environment where the leaders are really pushing for more regulation. So that's something to keep an eye on. I know crypto is hot this year and it is trending upwards, but I think tight regulations might sort of impede their growth, and it might leave some of the value in question. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on and keep in mind before making any decision to invest in cryptocurrency.
Yeah, you brought that up, and I remember when 2017, when crypto first started getting on the big hype, right, with Bitcoin. I remember India did the same thing, and I believe it didn't pass the most highest court, and it got rejected. But they were trying to get rid of ban it back then too. I know that back then several African countries and along with like a few European countries banned it as well. Not too sure if the ban is still applicable today, but it would be great to do some research on it. We will leave articles in the description below for you to read more on this. But definitely India is a big market, and like with the population being so high and a lot of investors, I feel like money laundering is something that they wanna address as well with this, right? And
Again, I think everyone knows that there is a lot of inherent risk within this sort of investment space. So keep an eye on these different developments. Obviously, it is a hot industry, but again, it's best to stay informed and to proceed with caution for sure. So with that being said, I'm going to pass it back to Syed just to give our final remarks as we wrap up episode 6 of The Bottom Line.
Once again, guys, thank you for watching our episode. We decided episode 6, with everything that was going on this week, we would bring the podcast as a video to you guys. So if you enjoyed this, please be sure to like the video and subscribe to our YouTube channel, as that would help us a lot, and it would let us know that you guys enjoy our content. Once again, for the latest updates, follow us on our IG. We have been pretty active on our TikTok as well, making educational videos there for you guys, so be sure to check that out. Once again, the link to all those are in the description below, so be sure to check that out. This podcast will be available on your favorite streaming platform, so if you want to listen to this to audio, be sure to check that out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, etc. So with that being said, Deepak and myself will see you again next week.